You were born for this moment. Not the past, not the future, this. Right here. The breath you're holding, the heartbeat echoing through your ribs, the awareness settling behind your eyes. This is not weakness. It's awakening. You were not built for fear, you were built for fire. And fire doesn't retire. It refines. It burns brighter when the nights grow longer and the world grows colder. Because fire remembers. It remembers what it cost to get here. It remembers the sacrifice, the silence, the struggle. The nights you wept in a room where no one could hear. The choices you made when no one was watching. The character you built in secret like a craftsman chiseling away at stone. Aging without fear doesn't begin in the mirror. It begins in the mind. Because if your mind bows to time, your soul will never rise. But if your mind sharpens with each passing year, you'll be unstoppable. Mindset is the furnace. And you're the blacksmith. You can either let time rust your dreams, or you can forge them anew over and over. Some of the world's greatest minds didn't bloom in spring, they bloomed in winter. Frank Lloyd Wright was 70 when he designed the Guggenheim. Laura Ingalls. Wilder didn't publish Little House until she was 65. Nelson Mandela was imprisoned longer than many people live free, and when he emerged, he led with more clarity than those half his age. Because wisdom is the crown of the patient. Let the world chase youth like a dog chases cars. You chase depth. Let others obsess over staying relevant. You become resonant. Because relevance fades, but resonance echoes through generations. And to resonate, you need clarity. Clarity isn't knowing everything. It's knowing what matters. It's looking at your life and saying, this is what I stand for. This is what I'm building. This is what I refuse to let go of. Clarity strips away the noise. It silences the guilt of not being everywhere, not pleasing everyone, not being 20 again. Clarity says, I am not here to impress, I'm here to impact. And impact isn't loud, it's deliberate. Your vision doesn't die because of age. It dies from neglect. Feed it. Water it with daily intention. Sharpen it with ruthless honesty. See yourself not as a fading flame, but as a torchbearer. Passing on not just knowledge, but light. The kind of light that exposes truth, that pierces through confusion, that says, this is what life taught me, and I will not be silent about it. Your purpose isn't behind you. It is within you. Buried under old regrets, under years of comparison, under the lies of culture, it's still there. Waiting. Breathing. Purpose isn't something we discover. It's something we remember. And remembering takes stillness. It takes courage. Aging without fear means living with purpose. Not drifting, not wishing, not waiting. But waking up and saying, I am still alive, so I am still becoming. There is no expiration date on meaning. Your purpose might shift, but it never ends. And when your purpose becomes bigger than your fear, nothing can stop you. Discipline is the architect of that purpose. Because no vision lives without structure. Discipline is the quiet habit of showing up even when nobody is clapping. It's not about perfection, it's about alignment. Doing what you said you would do, not because it's easy, but because it's essential. Because there's someone out there right now watching how you move through time. A child, a neighbor, a stranger on the train. And your example might be the permission they need to keep going. Your morning doesn't have to be filled with chaos to be productive. It just needs intention, a stretch, a walk, a journal, a prayer, something that tells your mind, we're still building. Because the soul that stops building starts breaking. And you were never built to break. You were built to rise, again and again. Even when the body slows, the spirit soars. The truth is, fear has a loud voice but a weak foundation. It crumbles under conviction. So build that conviction brick by brick, with every promise you keep to yourself, with every hard conversation you have with grace, with every dream you resurrect from the dust. This is how you age without fear. Action is the antidote to fear. Not talk, not waiting for perfect timing, not planning in endless circles. Action, because motion builds momentum, and momentum rewrites the story. Don't let the world convince you that aging is a passive act, that you're just supposed to sit and watch life go by from a quiet corner. No, you're not the audience. You're the author, and the pen is still in your hand. Think of the builders. Think of the rebels who refused to sit down just because the calendar flipped. Ray Kroc didn't take McDonald's Global until he was 52. Peter Roget invented the thesaurus at 73. No, Benjamin Franklin signed the Declaration of Independence at 70. And Michelangelo was still carving masterpieces at 88. They didn't age by retreating. They aged by rising. Because action isn't just what you do. It's who you become in the process. It's every early morning where you decide to move when it would be easier to rest. It's every decision you make to fight for your health, your voice, your dignity. It's standing when the world expects you to sit, and walking forward when the world says, "You've done enough." No. Enough is a ceiling placed by people who never dared to dream past the average. But you are not average. You were never meant to be. Action sharpens the blade of your identity. And identity is power. Because when you know who you are, fear can't buy real estate in your soul. And how do you build identity? Through gratitude. Because gratitude grounds you. It reminds you that even if time has taken some things, it has given far more. Every scar you carry, it's proof you survived. Every wrinkle etched into your face, it's a map of laughter, of pain, of triumph, of endurance. Gratitude takes what the world calls old and reveals it as sacred. You've lived. You've felt. You've seen sunsets some people never got to witness. You've heard music in the silence of pain. You've loved through heartbreak. That is wealth. That is power. A grateful heart doesn't fear age. It honors it. Because age is just the proof that you stayed in the fight. You kept waking up. You kept showing up. And that's what matters. Not the number on your license, but the story in your soul. But let's be clear, aging without fear doesn't mean pretending it's easy. It means facing the discomfort and doing it anyway. It means letting go of the illusion of control and embracing the art of adaptability. Because life will change. Your body will change. Your roles will shift. The mirror will show a face you barely recognize sometimes. And it's okay. Because the real measure of a soul isn't how well they avoid change, it's how gracefully they evolve through it. Adaptability isn't weakness, it's wisdom in motion. It's strength wrapped in humility. It says, I don't need things to stay the same for me to stay strong. It says, I can change and remain powerful. Like the river that bends around the rock but never loses its current. Like the oak that sheds its leaves but never forgets its roots. Do you want to know the secret? It's not staying the same. It's staying true. True to your values. True to your essence. True to your mission. And resilience? That's the fruit of truth. That's what you get when you live aligned. Resilience isn't loud. It's not flashy. It's quiet, steady, unshakable. It's what carried Harriet Tubman through forests at night. What drove Abraham Lincoln through years of defeat. What held Helen Keller through a world of silence. They didn't let their circumstances define their destiny. They let their character do that. And character is ageless. It cannot wrinkle. It cannot wither. It only deepens. So no, you are not declining. You are refining. You are becoming more concentrated in purpose, more potent in truth, more eternal in presence. You are not on a downward slope. You are on a higher path, one that only a few have the courage to walk. And every step forward from this moment is a step away from fear. Not because fear disappears, but because you've decided it will not drive you. You're in the driver's seat now. And time is your companion, not your captor. Time is not your enemy. It's your echo. It doesn't rob you, it reflects you. Every minute that passes is a mirror showing you what matters, asking you gently, urgently, what will you do with the rest of me? Because aging is not about what's ending. It's about what's opening. New doors of meaning. New relationships built on honesty, not performance. New insight from silence, not noise. New mornings that ask nothing of you but your presence. And if you really dare, you'll find that aging is freedom. Not the kind that runs wild. Oh, the kind that walks tall. The freedom to say no without guilt. To say yes without fear. To walk away from what's no longer yours to carry. And to walk toward what has been waiting on you to finally arrive. But that freedom, it's earned. And it's earned through one thing most won't talk about: learning. Because aging doesn't make you wise. Learning does. Learning from failure. Learning from heartbreak. Learning from your own ego, your own patterns, your own blind spots. And not just once. Continuously. Day after day, season after season. A soul that continues to learn is a soul that refuses to rust. You want to stay young in spirit? Stay curious. Ask better questions. Don't settle into the comfort of, I already know. That's where the soul hardens. That's where people become bitter instead of better. Better is the man who asks at 80, what else can life teach me? Better is the woman who says at 70, I'm not done yet. Better is the soul who walks into their final years with the wide eyes of a student and the steady heart of a teacher. That's how you stay alive. Not through your skin, but through your mind. Not by avoiding wrinkles, but by avoiding stagnation. Learning transforms aging into ascending. Because there's no ceiling for the one who refuses to stop growing. And growth, my friend, is not loud. It's subtle. It's quiet expansion. The kind that happens when no one's watching. The kind that happens when you choose forgiveness over resentment. Patience over pride. Love over the need to be right. That's real power. And it doesn't come in your 20s. It doesn't come from a screen. It comes from living, from failing forward, from showing up to the school of experience again and again. And eventually, something sacred happens. You stop running from yourself. You stop performing for a world that never gave you peace. You stop trying to keep up with people who don't even know where they're going. Instead, you become rooted. And in that stillness, that groundedness, you discover the one thing fear cannot touch: legacy. Legacy isn't about your name in lights. It's about your fingerprints on souls. It's about the wisdom you pass down in a conversation that changes someone's life. It's the time you gave your child when you could have been chasing dollars. It's the truth you spoke that pierced the fog in another person's mind. It's how you loved, how you led, how you lifted. Legacy is the tree you plant knowing you'll never sit under its shade, but someone will. And that is enough. So if you want to age without fear, live like your days are not a countdown, but a crescendo. Each one building on the last, rising higher, clearer, fuller. Not towards the end, but toward the essence, toward the distilled, undeniable truth of who you are. You don't need to fear the future, because the future has been waiting on you. And when you walk into it with your shoulders back, your head high, your soul unclenched, you become something time cannot measure. You become timeless. Timelessness isn't about age. It's about presence, about how deeply you show up in the now. Because presence is the rarest form of strength in a distracted world. Most people live like ghosts, floating through their own days, haunted by their yesterdays, terrified of their tomorrows. But not you, not anymore. Because fear cannot exist where presence stands tall. When you walk into a room with presence, the room shifts. Not because of your clothes, not because of your resume, but because of your energy, your peace, your knowing. That's what aging without fear looks like. It looks like still waters with unfathomable depth, and that depth, It comes from all you've carried, all you've lost, all you've learned, the quiet betrayals you endured, the victories no one clapped for, the prayers whispered at 3 a.m. when everyone else slept. Every single moment, every silent battle built your depth. And now you have something more powerful than charisma, more magnetic than beauty. Gravitas. You've earned the weight of your soul. You've been refined, not reduced, seasoned, not spent. And yet the world will try to convince you that only youth holds a light. They'll sell you the lie that your value lies in smooth skin and fast feet. But let me tell you something. A lighthouse doesn't run. It stands. And it shines. That's who you are now. Not a match, not a flare, a lighthouse. Grounded, steady, illuminating. Not everyone will recognize your brilliance. But the ones lost in the storm, they'll find you. Because you have what no trending algorithm, no viral moment can replicate, is substance. Substance doesn't age. Substance grows richer, deeper, more potent with every passing year. It's the tone in your voice when you speak truth. It's the power in your silence when others shout. It's the confidence of someone who no longer needs approval to breathe. You have outgrown the need to prove. Now you simply are. And there is nothing more unstoppable than a human being who has stepped fully into themselves. That's what the great ones did. Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, Leonardo da Vinci. They understood that aging isn't a retreat, it's a return to essence. So stop apologizing for your age. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Stop hiding your brilliance beneath self-deprecating jokes and humble smiles. You've earned your space. You've earned your power. You've earned your peace. Let them chase noise. Let them chase attention. You chase depth. Because that's what the soul truly craves in the end. Not applause, but impact. And impact doesn't come from youth. It comes from integration. When your thoughts, your values, your words, and your actions all sing the same song, when your life isn't a performance, it's a message. A message that says, I have lived, I have loved, I have learned, and now I lead. Lead not with force, but with presence. Not with titles, but with wisdom. Not with fear, but with faith. Because aging without fear is not a concept. It's a stance. It's a decision made every single morning. To stand in the light of who you are becoming, not the shadow of who you were. And maybe that's the greatest gift of time. Not the years it gives us, but the illusions it strips away. It peels back the masks. It dissolves the noise. It leaves you face to face with the truth. And that truth is beautiful. Because you don't need to become someone new. You just need to remember who you really are. That quiet, relentless warrior underneath it all. That fire that refused to go out. That dreamer who still believes it's not too late. That voice that says, I've come too far to stop now. You are not finished. You are not fading. You are ascending. Ascension isn't flashy. It's not paraded down red carpets. It happens in the quiet behind closed doors, in quiet mornings, in choices that no one else will ever see. But those choices, they build something eternal. They build you. Because who you become as the years pass is the only legacy that truly lives. Not your things, not your trophies, but your being. How you show up when the lights are off. How you love when it's inconvenient. How you forgive when it would be easier to hate. That's real aging. Not the graying of hair, but the deepening of grace. And grace, my friend, is not weakness. It's power restrained. It's truth delivered with open hands. It's choosing peace over pride because you finally understand. You don't win by being right. You win by being whole. Wholeness comes from the work no one else can do for you. The late-night conversations with your own conscience. The decisions to heal your childhood pain instead of projecting it. The moment you realize you no longer need revenge, only resolution. That is the art of aging well, of aging free, There are people who grow old, and there are people who grow. Don't confuse the two. Growth is not measured in birthdays, it's measured in breakthroughs. In how many layers of ego you've shed, in how many masks you've thrown away, in how much truth you're finally willing to live. Because most people fear aging because they fear being seen. Seen without the makeup, without the resume, without the filters. But aging, when done right, strips it all away until all that's left is you. And if you can look at that version of yourself and say, yes, this is who I was meant to become, then you've won. Let the young chase relevance. Let them run from silence. You master the pause. Master the breath between words. Master the art of listening to what's not said. Because real power doesn't need to shout. It just is. And when you operate from that kind of stillness, the world comes to you. Not in a hurry, not in panic, but in reverence. Because people are hungry for depth, starving for it. They scroll and swipe and consume, but none of it fills them. Because you can't feed the soul with glitter. But you offer something different. You offer substance. Your presence is no longer a transaction. It's a gift. You walk into rooms and people feel safer. Not because you've said a word, but because of the energy that surrounds you, earned through a lifetime of choosing the hard road. The honest road. The road that no one applauded, but that led you here. And now that you're here, don't play small. Don't dilute yourself to be digestible. Don't shrink so others feel tall. Stand fully in your season. Own your wisdom like armor. Let your age be your sword, not your scar. Do not let the world tell you when your usefulness expires. The world is wrong. It has always been wrong. Because some of the greatest revolutions in history began in the heart of someone others dismissed. Someone quiet. Someone weathered. Someone underestimated. Let them underestimate you. Let them look past you. Let them count you out. Because when you walk into your purpose, you won't need an introduction. You'll be felt. There's a reason trees don't speak. But they still give life. They still command presence. And they still stand. So stand. Stand rooted in who you are. Bend if you must, sway if you need to, but never break. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more elders who lead with quiet conviction. Who don't fear time, they guide it. Who don't run from age, they embody it. Guide time, don't chase it. You see, those who chase time always lose. Because time isn't meant to be captured, controlled, or outrun. It's meant to be honored. It's a sacred rhythm, not a race. It flows through your fingers, not to slip away, but to shape you. To sculpt your spirit, to sand down the sharp edges, to burn away what was never you in the first place. So many people fear aging because they fear the letting go. They mourn the versions of themselves that no longer exist. But hear me, letting go is not loss, it is liberation. You are not losing youth. You are gaining clarity. You are not saying goodbye to vitality. You are saying hello to truth. The truth that beauty was never skin deep. That strength was never about speed. That purpose was never about prestige. That joy was never about perfection. It was always about presence. And that's what fear can never touch presence. When you are fully here, fully alive, fully engaged in this breath, fear dissolves. It cannot compete with truth. So take inventory, not of your past regrets, but of your now. Take stock of your wisdom, your compassion, your patience, your ability to sit in the fire without flinching. Because that's what the time has given you. Not just stories, but stillness. Not just wounds, but wisdom. Not just history, but honor. And yes, maybe the world isn't asking for your wisdom as loudly as it should, but that doesn't mean it's not needed. It means you must offer it anyway, even when no one asks, even when no one claps. Because offering your wisdom is not about applause, it's about alignment. Your experience is a lighthouse in a world addicted to storms. And some souls, adrift and broken, will only find their way because you dared to shine. So shine. Shine in your honesty. Shine in your grief. Shine in your resilience. Shine when your hands shake. Shine when your voice cracks. Shine even when you're tired because someone, somewhere, needs to see what it looks like to age unafraid. You are not here to fade quietly. You are here to blaze with meaning. To walk into every room like it was made for your presence. Not arrogantly, but with the grace of someone who finally knows who they are. This is what the world has been waiting for. Not another influencer, not another expert, but a soul who has lived enough to speak with authority and healed enough to speak with compassion. Aging without fear is not about being strong every day. It's about choosing truth every day, even when it hurts, even when it costs you comfort. Because comfort never made history. Courage did. And now it's your turn. Not to relive the past, but to redeem it. To take every pain, every misstep, every closed door, and alchemize it into purpose. That's the real miracle of time, that it gives us the chance to become the version of ourselves we were always meant to be. Not in spite of age, but because of it. So don't you dare bow to the fear of getting older. Stand taller because of it. Let every year be a layer of armor. Let every decade be a deeper calling. Let every birthday be a burning torch that says, I'm still here. I'm still rising. And I'm not done. You're not done. Because purpose doesn't have an expiration date. Passion doesn't retire. And power, real power, doesn't dissolve with time. It deepens. It becomes less about the noise and more about the note that lasts. Let the world chase fast results and temporary validation. You chase eternity. The kind of legacy that breathes long after your voice falls silent. Not in headlines, but in hearts. In the grandson who watched you stay kind when bitterness would have been easy. In the neighbor who never forgot the way you showed up when no one else did. In the stranger you forgave, even when justice whispered, don't. That's what time wants to give you. Not emptiness, essence, the core of who you really are. And when you live from that place, you become ageless. Because what do years mean to a soul that's awake? What do lines on your face matter to a heart that still loves fiercely, forgives freely, and walks boldly toward the unknown? Let them laugh. Let them look at your age and assume the story's already been written. Because they have no idea what it took to become this version of you. To survive the things you never speak of. To rebuild what no one else saw fall. To stay gentle in a world that demanded hardness. That's strength. Not loud, not showy, but sacred. And sacred things don't explain themselves. They just are. You don't have to convince anyone of your worth. Your life is the proof. Every scar, a signature. Every tear, a teacher. Every season, a chapter in a story so rich, so textured, so real that no filter could ever capture it. And now you walk differently. Because wisdom gives your feet weight. Your silence speaks louder than arguments. Your eyes carry history, and your laugh carries freedom. Freedom from the illusion that life was ever about perfection. It was always about presence, always about becoming. And becoming never ends. As long as you breathe, you grow, you learn, you expand. Even if the body slows, the soul soars. Think of the eagle. It doesn't flap in chaos. It glides, effortless, focused. It trusts the wind and rises. You too have wings. You just forgot where they were buried. But now in this chapter, this sacred, silent, powerful chapter, you remember. Because when you stop fearing age, you start flying. You rise above regret, above comparison, above fear of what's next. Because you know what's next was made for you. The world may not expect anything from you now, but that's the advantage. because it gives you the freedom to create without pressure, to love without agenda, to live without the weight of expectation. Now is when the real work begins. Not the external kind, the eternal kind. The work that says, I will leave something behind that no one can erase. Your presence, your courage, your truth. That is your legacy. Legacy isn't built in loud moments. It's carved in quiet ones. In the discipline of doing the right thing when no one is watching. In the restraint of holding your tongue when you could destroy. In the strength of standing back up when life had every reason to keep you down. And you've done that over and over again. You've stitched your identity not from titles, but from truth. Not from applause, but from alignment. And that's why you don't age like everyone else. Because you didn't live like everyone else. While others pursued comfort, you chased character. While they built wealth, you built wisdom. And now when the noise fades and the spotlight moves on, you remain. Anchored, whole, untouched by the trends that rise and fall like waves. You are the mountain in the distance, not needing to announce yourself, simply standing, rooted in everything you've been through and unmoved by everything still to come. This is the reward. Not ease, not escape, but the ability to endure with grace. Grace is the oxygen of the aged soul. It fills the space where resentment used to live. It replaces anxiety with acceptance. It turns every wrinkle into a reminder, a line of poetry written by time itself. You want to know how to age without fear? Live gracefully, not perfectly, gracefully. Hold space for others, but don't hold yourself back. Speak with love, but do not silence your truth. Forgive those who never said sorry, not because they deserve it, but because you do. You deserve peace, not the shallow kind that comes from pretending everything is okay, but the deep, unshakable kind that comes from knowing you can survive anything, because you already have. You already did. And now, you become the guide. Not the hero of every story, but the sage who shows others how to write their own. Because that's the final act of fearless aging. To give. To give what time taught you. To pour it into those still running, still chasing, still lost in the noise. To whisper when they can't hear the shouting anymore. To place your hand on their shoulder and remind them, you are enough. You are becoming. And you are not alone. This is your gift to the world. Not more doing, more being. Not more hustle, more wisdom. Not more noise, more stillness. Because the world doesn't need more youth. It needs more elders. More elders who aren't afraid to stand tall in their season. Who know that love is more powerful than logic. That kindness travels farther than clout. That legacy is less about what you leave behind and more about who you lift while you're still here. So lift. Lift with your presence. Lift with your patience. Lift with your story. You don't need to convince anyone you're still relevant. You just need to be real. Because relevance fades. But real never goes out of style. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories and life-changing insights. Hit the bell icon so you never miss a moment that could inspire your journey. Your support means everything. Thank you for being part of this community,